Okay, Parashat Vayeshev. Fantastic parasha. Fantastic parasha. We're going to skip the whole entire thing, selling, buying Yosef and so on. We're going to skip to the part where Yosef is already working in the house of Potiphar. We'll start it from there. So Yosef is working in the house of Potiphar, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is really matzliach his way, and because of that, all the businesses of Potiphar are really booming, and everything is so good. And it's becoming so successful that Potiphar lets Yosef run all his businesses, and so on and so forth. The wife of Potiphar, anybody know his name? Very good. That's right. She's trying, of course, to seduce Yosef. They didn't have Sex in the City. They had, the same thing in Egypt. By the way, every nation is represented with a certain part of the body. Chazal said Egypt was so bad that it was the outlet of your body, if you know what I mean. It was really bad. It was a really bad place. So she's trying to seduce Yosef to sleep with her. And after, of course, the whole ordeal is coming out to the light, Potiphar takes Yosef, throws him into prison. And of course, the prison over there, they did not have a college degree or 3 meals a day. It was a pit in the ground that you stay there to almost sometimes indefinite time. So the same thing happens in jail, in Bet HaAsurim. Kadosh Baruch Hu makes Yosef very successful, and the warden of the prison makes Yosef to be the head of all, in charge of all prisoners. So after a few years, of course, we have the story of Sarah Tabachim and Sarah Ofim and Sarah Mashkim, whatever they were, that sinned, and then Paro throws them into the pit, and they had the dreams, and Yosef solves the dreams, and all these words are fulfilled, and after 3 days, there's already a birthday to Paro, and of course we all know that that's the first time in human history that the event of a birthday is being recorded and celebrated, and as such, being such a questionable person like Paro, I would recommend to you not to make a big deal out of birthdays. So there's something that is common in the whole story of this parasha. If you pay attention, everything, all the stories are on a decline. Things are going down, 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 and down. We see, what does it have to do with everything? What does it have to do with us? So that's really the first thing that stands out in this parasha, is that the whole parasha shows you, how things go from bad to worse. If you have starts with the brothers, the brothers start to become jealous, and then they do something that shouldn't be done. They sold their brother. Yosef is going down from being the favorite boy to that learns the secrets of Torah with his father, to a low level of being a slave in Egypt. Yehuda is not as in a high stature as it was before, and from there he falls down, and really to the act of Tamar, which is like, what, Yehuda, that's what you do? And at the end, after Yosef is reaching somewhat of a stability in the house of Potiphar, comes the whole ordeal with the wife of Potiphar, and for that he goes even further down low to the bottom of the pits, as they say. He goes to jail. And from the pit in Israel, he's end up again in the pit in Egypt. So let's try to see exactly. in the pnimiyut, in the spiritual aspect of things, what does it really mean? What does it mean for us, and especially for Hanukah that is just around the corner? So, and this is another thing that it's quite bothersome. What's the whole story? I mean, whoever, it seems like it, don't get me wrong, whoever edited the stories of in this parasha looks like he did a cut and paste from somewhere, and all of a sudden you have the story of Yehuda and Tamar in the middle, so out of context. I mean, really, like, what is this doing here? Of course, there's a reason, but before I'll continue, so first of all, I want to dedicate this shiur for the hatzlacha of our dear friend down south, Mark, and also a great shout out to our West Coast operator, Rebs Bornstein, and to our operatives, Karen and Mike, that are tremendous to our, to us, and to everybody else that is coming to learn and supports the yeshiva by learning or by just simply plain supporting. And since we stopped already, so I'm just going to ask all of the people who are watching to please subscribe and share if you like it. I don't see any reason why you shouldn't like it. And just spread the word out. The more you spread the word out, the greater impact we can have in a positive way into Am Yisrael. So please don't forget to do that. You can check us at the Yeshiva at yeshiva@etzion.com. Email, you can reach us at Rabbi Gaon at Gmail. Donate and so on and so forth. If you want to go to the yeshiva@etzion.com and you can take it from there. Reb, Isma Chatani. Reb, Shalom Aleichem, Tzaddik, Atamar Ifrach. Isma Chatani. טוב, בוא, שב. תיקח קצת צ'ולנט ממש, מעשה ידיו להתפאר. And there is chulent and there's kugel and some really amazing stuff. Oh, look, Mr. Z is here. Hello, Ziggy. All right. So what is the story of Yehuda that's in the middle of the story of our story of Yosef and brothers and so on and so forth? And that teaches us a tremendous lesson in the words of Hashgacha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu conducts himself. Whereas you have to eat. In HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how he conducts the words. It says in Midrash Rabbah, Rabbi Shmuel Patach, Rabbi Shmuel says, Ki anochi yadati et ha-machashavot. I know even what you're thinking, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said. So the Shvatim, look at this way. The Shvatim were busy with the whole ordeal with Yosef, selling him, punishing him, and so on and so forth. Yosef was busy with himself. Whether he, first he was busy with himself, beautifying himself and being a little pompous. Then he was busy with himself with his own survival. Reuven was also dealing with his own agony. Yaakov was dealing with his grieving. Yehuda, was busy looking for a wife, whatever he was doing. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu was really dealing with creating or bringing up about the light of Mashiach. The light of Mashiach. I'm not going to say anything. What does it mean? What does it exactly mean? It says in Megillat Ruth, Ve'ele toldot Peretz. And these are the lineage of Peretz. Peretz solided Chetzron. Chetzron gave birth to Ram. Ram gave birth to Aminadab. Aminadab gave birth to Nachshon. Nachshon gave birth to Shlomo. Shlomo gave birth to Boaz. Boaz to Oved. Oved et Yishai. Ve'Yishai holid et David. Gave birth to David. So if we say Ve'ele toldot Peretz, and this is the lineage of Peretz, when was Peretz was born? Well, Peretz was born in our Parsha. So the light of Mashiach started in this chaotic downhill movement of those who were Am Yisrael. in the middle of all this chaos and all this balagan that's going on, jealousy, blemishes, all of a sudden comes Peretz. From what? From the connection between, oh my goodness, Yehuda and Tamar. Yes, that's how things are being done. And from this zivug, the zera of Mashiach ben David, that's the lineage in which it comes from. In other words, in the middle of the greatest, what we call Hester Panim. Hester Panim is darkness. HaKadosh Baruch Hu seems to us that he's not revealing himself to us. Things where you ask yourself in the middle of the turmoil, where's God? And this, in the biggest Hester Panim, such Hester Panim, that the disappearing of yourself caused Yaakov Avinu to lose his Ruach HaKodesh, and the crying and so on and so forth of Reuven and Yehuda and the whole thing. From that, the Redeemer has been created. And that's very interesting. That's very interesting. From all these dreams that Yosef had and so on and so forth, all it caused to Yosef is just going down, further down, down. He was going so fast down, as they said, the rabbit hole. He didn't stop until he hit rock bottom. And that's, by the way, to all of you. Once you're going down, very hard to stop. If you're going up, right? If you're going up a mountain, there's an incline. It's very easy to stop. You get tired, you stop. But if there is a decline, you're going down, and you start, if you go fast, you know what happens to you. You can't stop until you hit. You're going to start rolling. We used to do that when we were kids. We used to run down sand dunes. And it was amazing that we used to start running down, and somewhere towards the middle of it, you find yourself flying up in the air. I mean, you simply fly and you tumble down, and it's amazing. That's what happens to us in our life as well. So a person needs to be very, very important that he will pay attention if he start going down to really put the brakes on. Because if not, you're going to fly. It's very interesting to me. If you think about it, if you think about the anatomy of our body, which muscles in our legs pushes us further? The back muscles. Which one stops us? The front muscles. So it's very important to understand that. We need to remember not to run. Because if you use the strong muscles of your back to run down, you ain't going to make it. So you got to be very careful. To every day, check yourself. Was this today Yerida, going down or going up? If not, you're not going to be able to stop. You're going to ask yourself all of a sudden, what in the world I'm doing here? It's a pit. It's dark. I don't see anything. Where's God? There's nothing here. Full of snakes around me. What am I doing? How did I get here? How did you get here? Step by step. And remember that. So now, Eshet Putifar, again, his brother hates him and there's difficulties for him. And now, all of a sudden, Yosef finds himself to be almost an orphan. His mother is dead. His father is away from him. His brother hates him. His father doesn't even know what's with him. He doesn't even have a chance for decent, dignified human existence. He's in the pit with criminals. In other words, he's really, really at the bottom that he can get. And here starts the turnaround. In other words, only when Yosef needed to reach the bottom in order to turn around and to go to where he really should have been, where it is actually higher than he ever was. When Yosef ends up as second, you need to understand what does it mean to be second to Paro. Egypt was the happening place to be, was the center of the world, was basically the whole entire world. And I'm talking about even further down in history, even in the times of Rome. Egypt was the granary of Rome. If Egypt would stop supplying Rome with wheat and barley, Rome would starve. You have to understand that. One of the reasons that, what's his name, Marcus Aurelius went to Cleopatra was to really negotiate some kind of a deal so they could continue supplying them with grain. Egypt was the place to be. As Yosef, when he was by his father, was the good boy. But he was really nothing in the scene. Yehuda was above him. Everybody was above him. Reuven, they were brothers. Now he is the most powerful man in Egypt, in a way more than Paro. Why? Because Paro said, well, you do whatever you want. Paro didn't deal with it. So he could manipulate everything the way he wanted. He's maybe the most powerful man in the world. To be second to Paro at the position that Yosef was much greater than being the vice president of the United States. The vice president is nothing. That was powerful. But you need to reach the bottom to do that. And the reason is very simple. The same thing as they do in boot camp. You're coming in, you're going out of high school, you're a tough guy, you think you're all cool, hair, long hair, muscles, girls, you are the man, you think you are unstoppable. They send you to boot camp. They strip you down from your past. They shave your head and they build you up from scratch, because the facade that you had on you in high school was empty. And in order to build reality and substance, we need to do something to you. And that's exactly what happens to Yosef. So because of that, you understand, Yosef, not only the Shvatim, I have a chidush for you, not only the Shvatim needed to go down to Egypt and all of Israel together with it, Yosef himself had to go down and had to be in that way. Had to be in that way. And that is the most important point. That's when he started to go up. And you see it. That's he started to go up. It's very interesting. So when Sarah Mashkim and Sarah Ophim tell Yosef their dreams, Yosef is telling them at that point, that's when he started to go up. Vayomer elehem Yosef, alo leElohim pitronim, sipru na leHashem, sipru na li. Tell me. But Yosef then understands, all my power is not for me. Everything is from Hashem. Everything is from God. That is, you can mark that in your Chumashim as the point that Yosef started to go up. In other words, until that point, he was red. Now he started to move into the green territory. That is, and that applies to you as well. As soon as you're going to take all the credits for yourselves, you know that you're not going to stop until you're going to hit the bottom. Once you're going to realize, acknowledge what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing and giving to you, then you're going to start seeing green in your life. And remember why I'm telling you that. It's a tremendous thing to remember. So, in this great darkness, Yosef is saying, the key is in the hands of God. You see, he forgot this for a while when he told him, just do me a favor, when you go out, can you please tell him, So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, hey buddy, you're not ready. 2 more years. You're not ready. So from dreams of great importance and being and making yourself king because he was mitnaseh on his brothers, Yosef is going through a very, very difficult process of he needs to earn kingship. So you need to be in a place of what we call in Hebrew bitul gamur, complete annihilations of the self. And that's very important to understand if you want to ever become a king or something like this. Only when it comes to the realization that all the answers HaKadosh Baruch Hu has, only then he starts to go up, when it's completely clear to him that everything is dependent on Hashem. Everything. He learns that he is not in the center. And guys, it's very important to remember. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in the center. He is the center, and everything comes because God allowed you to do it and He gave it to you. You cannot generate anything from yourself. So if you have a talent, you know that God gave you that talent. It's not yours. And since He gave it to you, you got to do something with it. If it's going to be good or bad, that's up to you. You better make the right choice. So from this point, he started to go up until the next Parashat and so on and so forth, right? And Yosef learns it very different. He learns it different. He needs to make room in his heart, in his thinking, in his concept of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then he goes all the way up. Then he becomes more blessed, and so on and so forth. And we need to understand that when he he made it through the nisayon, or the test of the wife of Potiphar. Only then it's considered to be. He was considered to be chai. In other words, the one with the greatest influence in that whole entire region. And chai means a person that could maintain his livelihood and his chayut in all kind of situations. And nothing is going to change him. Nothing is going to break you. And only a person like this could make it happen. So the people who come to Egypt, the Jews who come to Egypt, will make through it. Otherwise, they won't. And you see that there is a remiss for that. Yosef is really dealing with what we call Sarah Tabachim. He's dealing also with Sarah Mashkim and Sarah Ofim. So it's called Tabachim, Mashkim, and Ofim. The Rashi Tevot, Taf, Mem, Aleph. Ayin, Aleph. Taf Resh, it's called Tameh. So when Yosef, basically what happens is, Yosef is dealing with the Tum'ah of Mitzrayim by doing so that he opens the Chalom on Sarah Ofim Lera. He says, tomorrow the bird's going to be in your head. So in a way, from the word Tameh, Yosef did us a favor. He took the Aleph from Tameh, that one who represented it. So when you take Aleph from Tameh, what you left with? Tet, Mem, or Mem Tet to this matter. And in other words, what Yosef did, he left Am Yisrael to deal only with the Memtet Sha'arei Tumah, not with the whole concept of Tumah. There will be 50 gates. And once you enter 50 gates, you're not going to come out of it. So Yosef took one out by taking the prophecy or dream of Sarah Tabachim, so therefore he was left with that. And that's something that he helped Am Yisrael. Otherwise, Am Yisrael would not be able to do it. So if we're going to look now, so now before you know, it's already Hanukah. So if you look at Hanukah, so there are those, and many of them among us, who explain the whole ordeal of Hanukah as a tremendous human heroism per se, nothing more. Well, needless to say, they were heroes, what they did, but it's not only that. And even secular Zionism made a whole thing out of that, and or changed the perspective on Hanukah by making the famous Hanukah song, right? Al hanisim ועל הנפלא אשר חוללו המכבים על הניסים ועל הנפלאות אשר חוללו המכבים. Right? על הניסים ועל הנפלאות אשר חוללו המכבים. ימי רגע, מה חלמה? מה? The מכבים made ניסים? Who made the ניסים? הקדוש ברוך הוא made the ניסים. The difference between secular Israelis or Jews to those who keep Torah mitzvot, right? What do we say? So that's what they say. They say there was a nest by the Maccabim made it. But we say שעשה ניסים לאבותינו, right? נרות הללו, נרות שעשית אתה, מי? Who made the ניסים? אתה עשית לאבותינו. When? בימים ההם בזמן הזה. So to who you acknowledge it to, the fact that I'm acknowledging the Maccabim and taking God out of it, I'm saying there's nothing. It's all kochi ve'otzem yadi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, guess what? Okay, I'm going to have a bunch of like Arabushkas over there throwing rocks at you. You with your tanks are going to run like chickens. It's exactly what happens. Yeah, you need tanks, but you need God to help you. Because if He wants, even with rocks, all of a sudden, the whole story of David and Goliath turned around. David went to Goliath. He says, in the name of God, I'm coming to you. Goliath. Here the Israelis came with tanks. Oh, we came Apache airplanes, helicopters. We do this, we do that. Okay, some dingbat Arab with stones made them all run away. That's what happens, Rabotai. We need to acknowledge that. You need to make sure that you acknowledge HaKadosh Baruch Hu in everything that happens. So Parashat Vayeshev always comes before Hanukah in order to point out to us the spiritual essence of Hanukah itself. In other words, when things seems very dark for you, the days are the shortest days now. When things are really dark, what the Assyrians and the Greeks did to us was horrific. So when it seems that God is turned away from us, you should know that this is the right time to start working. That's the greatest opportunity for you for Avodat Hashem. Not to do Avodat Hashem when it's convenient to you. Not to worship God and to keep its mitzvot when it's convenient to you. The real Avodah that needs to be done is when things are hard for you. When it seems dark for you, you need to find that strength within yourself like a special ops operator that is not afraid. He goes to the darkness, he knows he has the tools to win it. He becomes innovative. He becomes ambition. He's self-propelled. He's highly motivated. He's not afraid of the dark. We need to operate like special operation soldiers. We're not great in numbers, but great in abilities. And our greatest weapon is emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When that emunah goes down, everything goes down. As much as they say, I heard one time, I think the guy was a Green Beret or Ranger or something like this, I would never would want to fight against Navy SEALs anywhere near water, even if it's miles away. So should be that nobody wants to deal with the Jews when they have emunah. And guess what? When the Jews have great emunah in a Ribono Shel Olam, nobody deals with them. Because they know they don't fight against us, they fight against God. Atem tishvu, you're going to sit down. Atem tacharishun, you're not going to do anything as God is going to fight for you. You don't have emunah, you're lost. You're gone. You lost the war before it even started. And I'm concerned with the way Israel is going when they try to uproot the emunah, to disconnect the Jewish identity from the land. It's a mistake. If they're going to go like this in 50 years, I don't know where we're going to be. Well, probably I'm not going to be around in 50 years.
No, I don't say this.
Oh, well, listen, I'm going to be over 100.
No,
I don't think you guys want to hear me for another 50 years. I'll tell you that much. But we're not going in a good direction. We need to be mechazek our emunah, and it doesn't start with some kind of organization that's going to come in, or with some rabbi giving you lectures, and you're going to get inspired. When you want somebody to do the job for you, it's never going to get done. It's time for you to get up and do it. You need to enhance the emunah yourself in everything that you do. And acknowledge Ribbono Shel Olam in everything that you do. See God, look for Him. That's the time to work in the darkness. So, when we say in Tefillah, when we say we daven, right? When we daven, we say in Tefillah, and we acknowledge the victory of the Jews, of the Maccabim, not to their ability, but rather to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We say, Ata rafta et rivam. You fought for them. Danta and dinam. You were on their side. Nakamta and nikmatam. You seek vengeance for them. So the whole entire essence of Hanukah is really to see what we call the natural reality as a miracle itself. To see Yad Hashem, how Yad Hashem operates, and how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is actively involved in your life, and even more so when it's dark. God is more present when He's away from us, when He goes so-called rogue on us, than He is present to us. When He's present to us and He splits the Yam Suf in half, no big deal to believe in God. No big deal. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is right by your side. When He is dark, it means that He is right now embracing you. You are embraced even closer to God. The fact that you don't see Him is because you look in the wrong way. So remember this. When things are dark for you, God is the closest to you then. He's never going to leave you. David HaMelech said that. Gam ki elech begei tzal mavet, if I walk in the valley of death, lo yerara. I'm not going to be afraid. Why? Ki ata imadi. You're with me. That realization of David HaMelech, why did David HaMelech was chosen to become the savior of Am Yisrael and his generations after that? Because of his acknowledgement of the Kadosh Baruch Hu in everything that he did. And everywhere that he went, he saw and seeked God. And that's something that we should understand. We should acknowledge that. And everybody should acknowledge that and understand that and examine where he's relating to that. You have a model to look up to. That's David HaMelech. Where are you holding in terms of your scale of acknowledgement? Are you like David HaMelech or not? Did you make HaKadosh Baruch Hu the center of your life or not? Did you? If not, you got to work. Don't give up. You give up, you lost. You finish. Nobody's going to come. No cavalry is going to come and help you. As much as it didn't come for Custer, it ain't going to come for you either. Everybody knows about, right, Custer? Right? You don't know? You don't know about? You don't know about General Custer? Oh my goodness. General Armstrong Custer, you don't know him too? Are you a Russian spy or something? I'll tell you that. I'm sure a Russian spy would know about Custer more than you did. Anybody knows about the Battle of Little Bighorn? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, let me continue before I go. Okay. All right. Ayah Mishaya. And now, so Yosef learns it in the most difficult way, that he needs to make some room in his heart, to take the clutter out and to make some room in his heart, in his thinking, in his perception to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When he does that, that's when Yosef starts to go up, and the reality of his life is becoming even more blessed than it ever was. So much it becomes the mashbir. He becomes the main pipe of well-being, not only to Egypt, to the whole entire ancient world. So when Yosef, Yosef understood he has those tools. And when Yosef had the ordeal with the wife of Potiphar, he did something that we call it Mesirus Nefesh. Mesirut Nefesh. Limsor is really what? To hand over. Nefesh is your soul. Not Mesirut Neshama, Mesirut Nefesh. Of course, with the representation of the Nefesh. When a person like this, he is called Chai. That's when he is. He is alive all the time. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is alive to him in all the situation. And when he does that, and nothing is going to change him, no temptation is going to get him. And we spoke about it today. We spoke about the fact of the representation of, where were you today, by the way? What?
Doing things.
You're doing AWOLing things. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You had some free time. You should have come to learn instead of doing things. Eating turkey, huh? Good thing you didn't choke on it. I'll hold you accountable for that. That's called going AWOL on God. You don't want to do that, man. Let me tell you something. We spoke about it today. And pay attention to what I'm saying to you. As soon as the representation of Eshet Potiphar, which is the Yetzer Hara, she grabbed him bebgadav, she grabbed his clothing. She should have said, the Torah should have said, she grabbed, him, why his clothing? And we explained today, based on the Zohar, and that's my own chidush. The Yetzer Hara, the Beged represent Begida, Beged, Bed, Gimel, Daled, Begida. When we rebel against God, that's why we cover ourselves up. So the Yetzer Hara grabs you in those little things in which you betray God by them. In those, the Yetzer Hara, let's say for example, for you to put feeling is like, of course I'm going to put feeling. But for you to keep Chalav Israel is not so much. That's what the Yetzer Hara is going to get you. In those places that you haven't dedicated your heart completely to God, that's your downfall. That's your downfall. And that's why the biggest downfall of our generation is Bitul Torah. Parnasa, inflation. So since your money is worth nothing, you might as well sit down and learn. Don't do things. You got to sit down and learn. Got to work on yourself. So pay attention to those little places in which you cheat God, you betray God. That's your weakness. That's your weak point. You don't need some prophet to tell you that. I just did, and I ain't no prophet. Pay attention to yourself. So when it comes to this darkness that we are dealing with, right? And that what we call Hester Panim, or we call it, some people call it, we refer to it as history, Historia. Historia is the story is covering Yah. You take history and you're covering God from history. You're using history to cover HaKadosh Baruch Hu's actions. So when you're going to light the candles, Be'ezrat Hashem, what day?
Sunday.
Sunday what?
Night.
Sunday night. So when you light the candles on Hanukah, when you're going to make the bracha she'asa nisim la'avotenu, look at the candles, and you should try to feel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mashgiach, is supervising you, he's watching over you, and it is his power. We're becoming an extension of the hand of God, his extension in this world. And since God only does good things, we need to make sure that we stay loyal to the mission in which we're giving to us. And this is the action in which you'll be acting in the world. And this something that should be mitchazek in the lesson that Yosef is teaching us. That even the smallest light has the ability to scare away the greatest darkness. You should just remember the Hashem is the Pitoni. And that is they say on the Greeks, or the Assyrians, that they came to darken the eyes of the Jews from the Torah. In other words, they wanted to put a barrier of darkness between the Jews and the Torah, so the Torah would not light their lives. And the Zohar HaKadosh says, Israel HaKadosh Baruch Hu ve'aTorah echad hem. Separating the Jew from the Torah is separating the Jew from God. And they wanted to break away this connection. They wanted to take the soul of the Jew away. And the war was a war of a cultural war. You think about this very carefully, about what you are engaged with. It is a cultural war, and I'm going to tell you that. You are losing. The war was not won, a battle was won. The war is still going on, and you are losing the war. You're allowing everybody to put a barrier, to put a wedge between you and God by something very simple. Bitul Torah. Don't tell me you believe in God when you don't give him the time to learn him. Bitul Torah is how we do it. You want to put somebody away from, you want to separate the Jew from God? Not a problem. Make him stop learning Torah. So, and especially when it comes to the kingdom of Yavan, if you take the letters of Yavan, Yud, Vav, Nun, you turn them around, you're going to get Noi. Noi means beautiful. We are paying too much attention to the external. How strong my muscles are. Not how strong my neshama, my spiritual resilience. You think that every special up person is like a Godzilla, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and the other guy, what's his name, Stallone. These are regular guys. Their biggest muscle is their endurance to persevere, to continue. They know what they want, and they're going to execute the mission. That's why they are the best. You must know what your mission is in life. And only after you know what your mission in life is, only then you can actually execute it and get somewhere. When you don't know what you're doing here, you're never going to get anywhere. Anywhere. You're going to make $10 million, you're going to say, still, I don't know what I'm doing here. My life went in vain. Don't allow this to happen. All this chitzoniyut, everything, that's how they tried to drag the Jews. And Bnot Midian did the same thing. The Midianite, they were beautiful. They put makeup on, they did implants, they had, open-toe sandals, they had all these things, right? And what happened to them? They went after that. They didn't see the true beauty of a woman, which is internal. They went after that, they fell. Every time the Jews went after something like this, they fell down. And that motion of becoming a mityaven, to become like a Greek, was very common. And many Jews adopted this global way of living. I'm a citizen of the world. I don't want to be, I want to be. And you see it until today. You saw it in Germany. A German outside, a Jew inside. And look what that got them. That happened even though there was a Mikdash in Yerushalayim. There was still a holy temple. And they still did it. So we got to be very, very careful. So at that time also, Yehuda Maccabi and Matityahu, I was about to say Netanyahu, and Matityahu and all these Chevra, they came out against the strongest empire of the time. And you really cannot really explain how is it the 5 priests, right, and their father were able to operate against something so immensely amazing. I think it was Yehuda, Shimon, Yochanan, Yonatan, and Elazar. And then Matityahu. Shel Matityahu. Right? So what does it mean? What does it mean really? So to do Mesirut Nefesh. So the war between the Jews and the Greeks was a milchama, a war between Kedusha and Tum'ah, purity and impurity, between Kodesh and Chol. And if you think about Rashi, the mashal that Rashi brings, Rashi says that there's a nice stone, a diamond, that fell into the sand. So comes the guy, he takes sifts and he sifts and he has piles and piles of sand next to him until he finds that diamond, and he leaves everything behind and takes the diamond. What's the remez of the diamond? What's the remez of the diamond? The remez of the diamond is that it's like the Torah. It's holy. And how is that? How do you become holy? When you are solid again around one core. The sitra achara is like sand. It's spread out all over the place. There is chaos. When you have a core and everything around it is formed in a beautiful, atomic structure, molecule structure, you get a diamond. It's solid. It becomes so strong. It will cut everything. Your life, the core of your life, in which everything, you want your family to be strong, you want yourself to be strong, you need to do everything around Kedusha, holiness, not separation like sand, because then comes the wind and blows you away. You need the solidification of and the organization all around one core, and that's the Kedusha.
Like a mountain.
More than a mountain. It's a diamond. It is a solid diamond that nothing can, what do we say? Only a diamond can cut a diamond. So that's exactly, we need to think about it. When a person is on the other side, all his powers are being, when you are immersed in Tum'ah, the opposite of Jewish values, all your abilities are spread apart. Since your abilities are spread apart, you cannot deliver a punch. If I will ask you to give a punch with two fists at the same time and kick with both legs at the same time, you know what's going to happen? You're going to fall on your toches. But when you're going to take your fist and deliver a punch, and the punch is going to be with these two knuckles, concentrated, all the power that comes from your back of your leg into your torso, into all the muscles of your body, into this thing, then you break stuff. Then you're able to break bricks, you can break boards. This is what it is. And what's this power? It's the Kedusha where we need to put it. We need to put this into our lives. Concentrate our lives into one point to be like a diamond. And, but what does it tell you? What the word tells you? No, do a little bit of this, learn a little bit Torah. When you're not busy with the world, right, honey? When you're not busy with the world, then learn some Torah. But you need to exercise. I need to go to the cabins. I need to do this. I need to do a little bit of this. You're never going to get anything in life. I'm going to tell you, you're going to be like a China doll. You look very beautiful on the outside, but when pressure comes, you're going to break and going to snap. You want to succeed in life, you're going to put a 1-2 punch. You're going to deliver a such power that it's unbelievable. That is going to be only, you're going to be kovya yourself in Bet Midrash. Only in Bet Midrash. And, Mesirut Nefesh is basically taken, deliberately, as we said before, it says Nefesh, is to take all the wheels, all the desires that I have in my Nefesh, my lower part, all this spreading apart, this fragmentation, and to hand it and dedicate it for one cause, to concentrate on one thing, in the purpose of creation. Mesirut Nefesh is not necessarily to die for the sake of heaven, but even more so to live for the sake of God. And how dedicated are you? That's something that you have to answer. To take all your amazing spiritual properties and to focus it in one thing, and that one thing should be to do peulot, actions for Am Yisrael, for the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and the Torah Kedosha. Each one to his abilities. But when you do that, you're going to give 150% for your abilities. Not 100, 150%. The war with the Greeks has not ended. It's still going on today, inside of us, each and every one, and outside as well. And it has to do with anyone, with all of us. Now more than ever, the darkness is so great. But guys, dawn is around the corner. Because remember what they say, at the darkest point of the night, that's when the morning begins. And that's where we are now. Shachar comes from the word shachol, dark. And we are now in this place. And in order to overcome it, and not to get to have a panic attack over the darkness, we need to have mesirut nefesh. We need to overcome ourselves to turn the darkness into light. And the light of the Hanukah, Dafka, comes in the darkest time of the year. Each and every one of us should have a look inside to see what part does he play, what role does he have in this great puzzle of Am Yisrael, and be brave enough to pick up the torch and towards to the light together, to help with those also, and to inspire those, not to leave them behind, but to inspire them to come over. Because I told you what we do here. Here we have the concept of no Jew left behind, and I expect this from each and every one of you. So Rabotai, let's put the shoulders together, let's go to work, and Be'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have rachamim of us, and Be'ezrat Hashem, soon, Yivaneh Bet HaMikdash B'mra B'yameinu. Amen.